Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, a new feature for the channel. It's Manga Mondays. So I've talked recently in a couple of videos on the channel about the fact that I've got into reading manga recently. I did an extended vlog video a couple of weeks ago where I read the first instalment of 10 popular manga series, and it's definitely something I'm really enjoying. And I made a subsequent video where I talked about my attempts, or me trying to figure out how to build reading manga into my general reading routine, and also how to talk about it on the channel. And what I've decided to do from a video perspective is try and restrict manga to particular videos. So when I'm doing like my weekly wrap-ups and things like that, I'm not going to talk about the manga I've read. What I'm going to do is restrict that, confine that to these videos that will go up on a Monday. So what you'll see going forward every Monday is a video where I'll talk about manga and comic books, and I'll try not to talk about them in the other videos I do during the week. And the reason for that really is just because I know that not everybody likes it, and some people won't want to hear me blather on about manga, so they can watch the other videos, but people who particularly want to hear me talk about manga know where to go to. So you'll get a video every Monday where I'll talk about manga. One of my long-time subscribers, DDB, did suggest that actually I should be doing it on a Thursday because the Japanese word for Thursday is, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, mokuyobi. So it would have been Manga Mokuyobi, but instead I'm going to do Manga Mondays because it's a lot easier for me to say. And also what I've decided in terms of when I'm going to be reading manga is I'm just going to read manga at the weekend. So I'll probably read, novels and short stories and things like that at the weekend as well, but I'm not going to read any manga during the week. And it just works with my routine. It fits in quite nicely at the weekend to have a stack of manga volumes next to my chair when I've got a bit of time just to pick one up and read it. So it feels like quite a good way for me to fit it into my routine. So I'll read them at the weekend, talk about them on a Monday. And there are 7 series that I'm going to be reading, I think, on an ongoing basis. So some of these are ones that I talked about in the video I did, so my manga vlog, but there are 2 new ones as well. So 2 that people have recommended in the comments, that I've picked up and have now read the first instalments of and really, really enjoyed them. So I've actually done this for 2 weekends running now, just to make sure it was really working for me before I start talking about them. So I'm going to end up with having a week in hand in terms of the videos, which should mean I've always got one ready for the Monday. So let me talk about then what I read in the first weekend when I did this. So I've got 4 things that I read physical copies of, and then 1 digitally as well. And what I should say as well is what I'm trying to do, one of the reasons for doing it like this for me is to pace my reading, because manga is really easy to read quickly and quite expensive. So what I don't want to do is like race through things and end up having to buy loads more copies and books and issues and what have you, and end up with no money. So I'm going to try and pace myself, and as this is, these are stories that are designed to be told in installments. That's how they originally published. So it feels, and it is feeling, based on the 2 weekends that I've done it, like it's working pretty well. So yeah, I'm definitely having fun with it so far. Anyway, let me talk about the things I read in the first weekend then. So let's start with the one that I liked the least. So this was Butler by Yana Toboso. So this is one of the ones I did in my original vlog, and I said in that I wasn't too sure if I was enjoying it or not. But there was a twist at the end which made me, really kind of want to know what happens next. So, and that twist was around a load of kind of supernatural occult type stuff that suddenly appeared in the story. So I figured I would give it another instalment. And I should say there will be mild spoilers in these videos. I'll try and keep them as spoiler free as possible, but as I read through series, inevitably I think there will be some mild spoilers, so do bear that in mind. So anyway, I read the second volume of Black Butler, and I didn't really enjoy this, if I'm honest. It's very bizarre. So the kind of setup is there's this young kid who's incredibly wealthy, and he's got this butler, Sebastian, who kind of looks after him. But there's all sorts of kind of investigations and fights and stuff like that going on as well. And this one, the concept for the kind of overarching story in this volume was great, which is they're trying to track down Jack the Ripper, which I just thought was a fantastic idea. But I didn't feel like they did it particularly well. And there's some really weird stuff in this book as well. So there's an extended sequence where the kid, who's a boy, is pretending to be a girl in order to try and figure, in order to try and like lure Jack the Ripper, and so they can figure out who he is, which just felt quite dodgy to me. So yes, I didn't particularly enjoy that, and as a result, I'm not going to continue with this series. So I think I'll be putting the 2 volumes of Black Butler I've got, 1 and 2. I think they'll be going on eBay soon. Another one that I'd read in that initial video, which I enjoyed a lot more, was this, Chainsaw Man. So I loved the first issue of Chainsaw Man, or the first volume of Chainsaw Man. I enjoyed the second one even more, I think. So there were some bits in the first one. There were some bits where it kind of skipped around in terms of the timeline and things like that I found a little bit confusing. This is much more kind of linear and just so much fun. It's just so much fun. It's so crazy. So Chainsaw Man is this guy who's been like infected by a demon, and he can transform himself into this like chainsaw demon at will, and he's hired to he works for this organisation that hunts other demons. In this one in particular, he's fighting this bat demon, and he's kind of been tricked into doing it by this girl who he fancies. And basically, a lot of the story, and it's like really, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's incredibly amusing, but it's like really sleazy. So basically, the whole reason why he's going after this bat demon is because the girl's promised him that if he does, he can touch her boobs. And that's like the main thing that's motivating him through all of this. Somehow they managed to make that very amusing, not feel too dodgy, and actually get kind of a bit of a message out of it as they get towards the end of this volume. So I really did think this was pretty fantastic. Very funny, quite exciting, really violent. I had a great time with it. The author of this one, I didn't say, is Tatsuki Fujimoto. Continuing on then, and this is the one that I'm going to have most difficulty pacing myself with, because this is just phenomenal. So this is Blood on the Tracks by Shuzo Oshimi. So this is really, really creepy stuff. There's something really unsettling about this. So it's about the relationship between a young boy and his mother, and various other people within their family. And I can't really say too much more than that, because it will give away what happens at the end of the first volume, which was like, it has got like a really shocking ending. And this volume kind of builds on that. There's a load of stuff in here as well about the boy, like this girl at school who likes him, and him trying to figure out if trying to navigate his way through young love, I guess, but with his mum kind of interfering. But the thing that impresses me so much about this is the artwork. So, it's just really well done. So just like the penmanship is fantastic. But there are a few pages in this that reminded me of the power of of graphic art, of comics and manga to tell a story. And it's that halfway house between literature and cinema, and this captures that fantastically. There are bits where you almost feel like you're watching a movie as you're flipping the pages, and the images, the story's just told through images. Just really, really fantastic stuff. Genuinely really, really impressed by this series. I've got the next 3 volumes I picked up this week from Amazon, but I'm going to have to pace myself. So, and I forgot to say what I'm going to be doing with all but one of these series. So there are 7 series I'm going to be reading. 6 of them I'll be reading 1 volume every other week. So I'll be alternating. One of them, Attack on Titan, just because I've already got the whole of Attack on Titan on my Kindle, I'll be reading 1 of those a week. So yes, anyway, Blood on the Tracks, absolutely fantastic. And then something a bit lighter, Spy X Family Volume 2. So again, this is one of the ones I read in my original vlog. Unlike Chainsaw Man, so Chainsaw Man I preferred Volume 2 to Volume 1. Spy X Family I slightly preferred Volume 1, but Volume 2 was still really good fun. So the setup is there's a spy who needs to get close to this guy who he's supposed to be spying on, but the only way to do that is for him to infiltrate the school that the guy's child goes to. So the spy has to create a family for himself, and it ends up being a family where the kind of proxy mum is an assassin, and the child is a telepath, but none of them know the other person's or other people's secrets. So it's very, very funny, but really exciting as well, and quite moving too, as this kind of strange trio gradually come together as a genuine family. So yeah, I again really, really enjoyed this. As I say, not quite as good as the first one. There was just an absolute craziness to the setup in the first one that really appealed to me, but a really good continuation of the story. And then the other thing I read, which I've already referenced on Kindle, was Attack on Titan. So I read the second volume of that. So the first volume was very much about immersing you in this world. So it's kind of a kind of future post-apocalyptic type of thing where humanity lives in these walled cities, and there are these weird creatures called Titans, which are like giant humans who kind of roam around and attack people and attack the cities. And it's particularly about these three friends who are like in the first volume are in a city that gets attacked, and then as that volume progresses, they grow up and they've joined kind of the human defence force, if you like. So yeah, the second volume continues that story, continues to be really, really gripping. So it didn't for me have quite the impact of the first volume, where you've got in the kind of backstory part like loads of destruction and kind of anguish and stuff like that. But it does continue to be really gripping, really exciting, fantastic artwork. I'm definitely really gripped by this, and there's a twist that starts coming in the second one, like a new direction for the story already, which I thought worked really, really well. So that's the manga I've read talked about, and what I'm going to try and do in these videos is try and include something a little bit extra in each one as well. So something outside of those seven series to talk about. So this week I've got a couple of comic books that I was sent digitally by Titan, the kind of book and comic publisher, to review. So one was Dead by Daylight, and the other was Conan. So I'll talk about Dead by Daylight first. So Dead by Daylight I did not enjoy. So this is issue 1 of a new comic book. Dead by Daylight is a video game where I think basically one person plays the killer, and then the other 4 people play the people who are trying to stop the killer. And the 4 people team up to try and prevent the killer from getting them all. They've turned it into a comic book. I've never played the game, and this is probably part of the reason why I didn't enjoy the comic. But it just felt really YA. So it's got this young guy who goes to a new town, and there's clearly some weird stuff going on. And towards the end of it, it gets more kind of horror. It starts to develop more of a horror vibe. But in the first 20 pages or so, 15-20 pages, it just felt like a kind of YA story about a young guy. So I really didn't enjoy that very much at all, and the artwork I didn't think was terribly strong either. The other thing though that Titan sent me, Conan, was fantastic. So I think Titan have recently reacquired the rights to publish the Conan comic books. I'm not sure if they're going back and publishing some of the kind of legacy ones that were published by Marvel and Dark Horse. Yes, I'm not sure if they're going back and publishing some of the older ones, but they are certainly publishing a new series, and this was issue 0 of that, so kind of an introduction to that series, which was published also for Free Comic Book Day. This was really good, so fantastic artwork, and the storyline was really well done as well. So basically it's kind of backstory, so it's kind of a bit of origin story of Conan, and how he came to be the kind of mighty guy that he is. But yeah, just really gripping, really entertaining. If you like Conan, I'd definitely recommend checking it out. So I hope you found that interesting, something a bit new for the channel. Do let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Let me know if you've read any of the series that I talked about. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.